Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and we've entered the Christmas season. And here's a little something special that I wanted to do for you guys. Fresh from Amazon Japan, these are the Takara releases of the Transformers Earthspark Deluxe, Optimus Prime, and Starscream. Now, as you remember, the Deluxe figures are the little more involved ones without the built-in weapon kit. Now, few things first. The reason I got these is this is a return to by Takara to doing the more involved paint decos on the figures. As we'll see when we take a look at Optimus Prime, it's not so much a question of more paint, but a different kind of paint and a better placement. With Starscream, as of this recording, which is December 1st, 2023, this is my first chance, and I think anyone's chance, to take a look at the deluxe class Earthspark Starscream mold, which is a heavy repaint of the Cyberverse deluxe class Starscream. Now, the US release, as far as I can tell, and I have looked, has not been found yet. It hasn't even shown up on Amazon. The Warrior version, which if you have three of that mold, I think you have enough, is already out, but that's a completely different looking figure. Um, so my point in mentioning all that is I unfortunately don't have a Starscream to compare with this new one. And if you notice, I've been saying Earthspark. Japan is going to keep the American name for the show, so that might get a little tricky. But just keep in mind when I'll be saying like American or Japan or Takara and Hasbro. But once again, I did get these figures from Amazon Japan. That's the easiest and best way that I know I've been able to find them. And keep in mind also that the waves are going to be a little bit different in terms of the assortment, and they do not contain the parts to build a Mandroid. So there's still that reason to go and purchase the Hasbro versions of the deluxe figures. And by the way, they're also releasing the Warrior class, the One Step, the Spin Changers. I don't think any Warrior class figures have been released at retail yet, in Japan at least, but they are coming. Remember, their release schedules are a little bit different. So what we will do now is we'll pause and we will come back and take and do a comparison between the Optimus Primes. Before we look at the figures, I wanted to give you a little quick look at the new packaging. These are not coming boxed like the Hasbro releases. They are in a full carded bubble. Unfortunately, mine, very uncharacteristically from Amazon Japan, came a little creased. But there's the top there with the Autobot Alliance, the Human Alliance logo, the car Tommy. In the background, you have a CGI render of Optimus Prime. On the front here, you have the toy and then the CGI render of the figure. And then off to the side, they give you the full look at the toy and nothing on that side. Come around the back, and they show you the toy in action pose. Little blurb here about Earthspark and the name of the character. Yes, they are keeping Optimus Prime. For a while now, Takara has been using Optimus Prime. I guess they found it to be a little bit easier. One thing that I am a little disappointed about is that unlike in previous times when Takara has done a carded figure, you would have three plastic flaps down the side that if you just removed the tape, the card would be able to slide in and out. This one, you actually had to remove the tape here and then cut along the bubble. Um, that's a packaging style I have long I and many others have long requested Hasbro to adopt. But don't forget that Hasbro, besides presenting the item, also is responsible for packaging that protects the item from theft and damage. One of the reasons why they're going back to windowed packaging is the complaints from retailers, who I'm sure got complaints from customers about figures being damaged and the packaging being damaged. But this is what the deluxe packaging in Japan is going to look like. Now, let's look at the toys. I'll give you a second to guess which one is which. The one on the right is the new Optimus Prime, whereas the one on the left is the Hasbro version of Optimus Prime. Right off the bat, you can see the Human Alliance logos, while are similar, are painted differently, and on the Takara release are smaller and more accurate to the show. Um, Looking through my eyes, this has more of the classic cherry red Optimus Prime look. This red right here, and it might be because of plastic matching, tends to be of a little have a little more purplish hue to it. Going down the chest, coming up to the head, you should notice that there's a bit of a different paint deco on the head, where on the Hasbro release, the side vents are painted silver, whereas on the Takara release, they're just left bare. I don't remember which is more accurate to the show, but I should also mention that the Takara version has a brighter, more metallic type of silver to it. Working down the torso, and I should at this point mention that taking my Hasbro Optimus Prime out of the packaging, I've noticed that the knees have loosened up quite a bit. So if the figure should fall over, you'll understand why. Uh, it's a different paint deco where you have more of a bluish silver to the chest window here than the straight black on the original release. Now moving down to the waist, you and I'll bring it in closer so you can see. It's not that it's more paint, but a different paint layout. This whole section here is painted in that metallic silver, whereas this one, certain sections are pointed out. And one thing I appreciate is that they left a little tab that the hood in front of the truck pegs into bare. Um, that is that so that doesn't really stick out that that's a slot there. Moving down, on the Hasbro release, the lights here on the crotch plate are yellow, whereas on the Takara release, they're orange. Very slight difference in the shade of gray here on the calves, hands, and what have you. Moving down, you can see that on the Takara release, these vents here are painted in the silver, and while these are done in that bluish gray, right here, they're done in silver. Now, if we take a moment and to look at the side of the figure, you'll see that again, the smokestacks are different shades of silver, but the same basic paint placement. On the arms here, you can see that the paint deco goes all the way down along the runner, whereas on the Hasbro release, it stops right before where the fist would be. Uh, But at least here on the side, these little exhausts, those are painted. But the big difference you might notice is let me move the arm up here, uh, is the fact that the hubcaps are painted on the Takara release. And that's kind of cool. That's always a nice touch that I've always said has been a hallmark of a premium design. One other thing I do want to mention, and this has to do with the instructions as we come up to the back of the figure, just for a quick look. uh, you'll notice that I do have the weapons stored. Much like the Hasbro instructions, Takara did not mention anything about the weapon storage in robot mode. So as you can see, the weapons store like that along the back. For a better explanation, go ahead and check out my review of Earthspark Optimus Prime. Um, Another thing I want to mention is that the number of steps in the instructions are a bit different. And I believe that has to do with the fact that the car instructions go from vehicle to robot, whereas the Hasbro instructions go from robot to vehicle, um, which can result, which actually, and the reason there's like that extra step or two has to do when pegging the legs together around the gun to go into vehicle mode. Now, I am going to demonstrate the transformation from robot to vehicle mode just to be nice, as I feel uh, that's worthwhile to cover. But other than that, again, as I said at the beginning, when it comes to Optimus Prime, it's not a difference in the amount of paint, but it's really the difference in the layout of the paint. And I really think that the car version has done it a little bit better. Now, I do want to mention again, this is the same figure, this is the same molding. Unfortunately, it is the same quality of plastic, meaning it feels a little thin. And as I mentioned, my Hasbro release, the knees have loosened up. Your mileage may vary. You might get a Takara version if you go that route that's floppy right out of the box. Personally, I don't think that'll happen, as Takara tends to be a little bit better in the quality control department over things like that. But that's about it for the comparison. Let's pause and I'll quickly show you the transformation. Okay, transformation actually isn't that bad. What you want to do is remove the weapons here and go ahead and separate them because they do store in vehicle mode, but in separate locations. And the ion blaster does become part of the transform of the vehicle mode, as you'll see in a moment. First thing you want to do is rotate the head around and then fold it back on the ball joint and press it down into the chest. You want to try to keep that folded back because it does need that clearance to come up. Next, reach behind and just flip over that roof panel like so. Next, you can fold down uh, what will be the hood and front grille of the vehicle mode. And just for the sake of ease, flip the arms back. That'll give you a little bit of space. Rotate the figure around, and then this will just fold up on it in on itself and peg into place. Just like that. Now what you want to do is uh, remember that this section snaps into place, so you want to give it a little push, and that will allow you to separate the legs. Bring the waist up. At this point, fold the hands in, and you might want to move the arms out of the way just to give yourself a little bit more wiggle room. Fold the feet up all the way. Make sure they fold and sit flat. Now, this is where you're going to bring in the ion blaster. As I showed in my original review, there's a little notch right there that's going to peg into the side of the legs, and then this ion blaster pegs into the back right there, and then there's a notch right there at the top. So doing that, and then you just bring the other leg in. At the same time, you want to sandwich the joints together, and there you go. Oh, I got it. Usually I have to fiddle with it a little bit more, but it works out better. Now what you want to do is bring the arms down, fold them up at the elbow. And one thing I really appreciate about modern Optimus Prime figures, be it cartoon, movie, or generations, they usually, if it's based on that G1 character, they keep this arm transformation. Unsnap the joint, bring it back into place. As you're doing so, keep the thumb here to help hold that joint into place, and you're going to fold the arm in. Now remember, there's a tab here that's going to go into a slot right there by the grill, while this tab is going to peg into the side of the leg. And just give it a little wiggle jiggle, and it'll slip right into place, just like so. Do it again on this side. Again, use your thumb to hold that in place because I noticed that it sometimes will end up not sitting right if you don't hold it. And then once you get it lined up, yeah, you're kind of going a little blind, but it does give you a little bit, but you kind of go a little, I know it's a little blind here, but you can just feel it in. And there we go. And then that goes forward. And then uh, it should be, oh, there we go. That should peg right in like that. There, huh? And we use that. Shoulders are even. The legs are straight. There is, by the way, that natural curve to the legs. That's okay because that does help the wheels reach down. And you want to give it maybe like a little bit of the old transformer squeeze. And there you go. And then finally, to store the axe, use the slots. There's a slot right there, pegs into the bottom. So all in all, fun transformation. Oh, and don't be afraid if you buy this release. The axe comes packaged separately in a little slot, but as you can see, the ion blaster does come attached in the vehicle mode in packaging. So if you know where to look, you should be able to see it. So it is there. It's not like it's lost or anything, but nice looking truck mode. All in all, a great addition to the collection. Now, let's take a look at Starscream. As I said in the beginning, I unfortunately do not have um, the new Earthspark Starscream, or, well, I do have the Cyberverse Deluxe Starscream. I unfortunately do not have it handy. Um, Cyberverse was a couple years old now. Stuff gets packed away, and to be honest, I thought I knew where it was, and I don't. But what I can tell you is, well, first of all, if you're interested in that figure, and you should because it does come with blast effects, you can actually find it on Amazon, third party sellers, and it's about $19, which is cheaper than the original retail cost. And if you find it on like a lightning deal, Black Friday deal, what have you, they actually might take a couple more bucks off the price. Not bad. Not bad at all. And again, it comes with blast effects, two for the null rays, and one for the cluster bombs in the chest. That's really cool. And I think they would work well with this new version of the figure, which, in my opinion, even the American version has a much nicer paint deco. First, what I can tell you, and having seen the CAD models for this new Starscream, the plastic is actually a darker shade of gray, just like this. That's closer to the original toy design. I don't know how accurate that is to the cartoon. And I should also mention that apparently in the cartoon, Starscream is one of the main villains. Megatron still is a good guy, so yeah, there's that. So that's one of the big things. Also, the reds are darker, the blues are darker, much like on this. One thing I think is different for the cockpit here, you have that metallic gold paint. I think that's just a straight yellow. I think in terms of the metallic sheens here, it's just flat blues and reds. You have some gunmetal. I think that's just plain gray. We're talking now strictly about the Hasbro version of the figure and not the Hasbro release of the Earthspark figure and not the Cyberverse. And for now on, all I'm going to talk about is the Hasbro Earthspark and Takara Earthspark. Other than that, the mold is exactly the same. Like I said, I think you might have more of a flat gray on the Hasbro release. And obviously, the head's going to be the same. Now, I want to say this head design is a little bit different than what we're seeing in Earthspark, but I think this works a little bit better for a toy because I want to say Starscream had some extended horns or something that I would just be too concerned about breaking off. Um, And what's nice is handling this figure. It really reminds me of a period of time where Hasbro was making some fantastic Seeker figures. Because, this would get repainted into like not this one, but the one from like the warrior figure from RID would get repainted into the other Seekers. And um, they were just great at the deluxe price point, great transformation, great articulation, and even does some things with the transformation that at the Voyager level, both in Siege and Earthrise, the Seekers didn't do, which we're going to show you right now. In my original review, I believe I went from vehicle to robot. And while of course, I probably pointed out a few things, I'm just going to show you how to do robot to vehicle right now, as I feel that'll be a little bit easier. Don't worry. Like with this figure in Optimus Prime, I'll make sure to have cards that will link you to the original reviews at the end of the video. But let me just say, I really enjoy transforming this figure, so there is that. The first thing you want to do is rotate the forearms. Well, actually, be the bicep. So the inside of the arms are facing outward like that. Next, bring the wings down. I mean, this is all stuff you can adjust once we're done. And unpeg this section here. What you're then going to do is fold out on the black section just like that, and unpegging it from the side there. And then you're going to fold the wings back like so. And then what you want to do is line up the tab on the forearm to a slot underneath on that black section, securing the arms in place. And then you have everything set up. What I would also recommend is keeping that a little extra spread to give you some space when you're going to fold up the legs. The next thing you want to do is grab the torso. Oh, unpeg the nose cone from that red tab there. Now grab the torso, and this whole section is going to fold upward and outward, and backward, just like that. Open the cockpit, and by the way, you're using the real aircraft cockpit. Earthspark and Siege, Earthrise and Siege, they gave you a fake canopy. This one is real. Fold the head in, close it up, fold the nose cone up, just leave it sit just like that. Next, what you can do is fold up what is the waist and the crotch section on those hinges right there, all the way up. Rotate at the waist joint. And you want to hear something funny? I usually don't remember older transformations. I was actually able to do this initially without the instructions. And now what we're going to do is fold out these heel spurs, just like so. Fold them all the way out. Connect the legs, the slide together. And then these will peg together. Make sure you have it all lined up. And now what you're going to do, make sure that stays folded up. Collapse the legs in on themselves all the way. And I think I had that. I folded that up wrong, but that's okay. So you want to have them full, and what's nice is you'll know you have them folded up right when the tabs on the shoulders can slide in and clip into place on the legs. Next, what you want to do, there are some notches here on the bottom of the head panel of Starscream that are going to sit into grooves you've just made with the legs, and just position that like so. Now, this is what I would say might be a tricky part. As you can see, there's a little groove right there on the inside of what was the heel spurs. That has to fit in over that red tab. So you're kind of going in blind, and you want to position, fold it up. I mean, there's no real easy way to see it, but you'll get it like this. The feet are flush. Keep those wing sections pegged in. Adjust the
arms there. There we go. Keep the legs down. And there you have Starscream in its vehicle mode. It really does become a little compact, like space jet. There are elements of the Tetrajet design, as well as the elements of a modern aircraft carrier. Um, all of it came together to form a very new looking, while still classic looking, deluxe class Starscream. Really a fan of this mold, and I got to be honest with you. Before I got my hands on the Takara release, I was going to pick up the Earthspark design because just how cool the new paint job looked. I had to talk myself out of getting the Warrior class version because, like I said, I got three other versions of that mold, and while it's not as bad as people make it out to be, it's not something you need multiples of, especially when they've already released that mold once again in the Earthspark line. Oh, little smudging there. Oh god, I hope I didn't do that. Little blemish, but it's all right. Well, see that's battle damage. Oh man, I did not notice that. But that's about it. We'll come back and I will give you my final thoughts.
Boy, I hope the audio was right on that last section. Anyway, um, like I said, these are great figures, but these were great figures when they were first released um, in the Earthspark line. And yes, I am talking in a future tense with Starscream here, since again, I'm not sure the Earthspark version has been released. This is actually a great example of what do you get a Transformers collector for Christmas. And if they're interested in Earthspark, they're probably going to already have these figures, or at least they'll already have Optimus Prime. And if they really like the character and like the mold, it's perfect to get them the Japanese release that has the different paint scheme, the better quality paint, and just that different deco that can be a little bit of a trade off for them. I know in years past, going back to Henkei and United, if there was a figure I really liked or if there was a character I really liked, I would go for the Japanese release because I knew the paint would be a little bit will be of a higher quality, and in some cases there might even be accessories that are included that aren't included with the Hasbro release. That has to do with the pricing structure. And let me just be clear, as far as I know, that's not the case with these Takara Earthspark releases. They are not getting different accessories. If anything, the Mandroid Build-A-Figure pieces are being omitted. I believe that's a pricing thing due to the paint. Um, so yeah, there is that. But yeah, so even if you now, unfortunately, while the show I hear is doing okay, I know there was a little bit of confusion, at least on my part, when it was first released. I thought it was going to be a Paramount Plus exclusive, but apparently it is airing on Nickelodeon. The toys really aren't picking up, so I don't know if younger fans would be interested in these. And I do want to mention, especially I think with Starscream, but also in a different way with Optimus Prime, their transformations might just be complicated enough that it's a little too difficult for smaller hands. But honestly, that's a decision you would have to make. Now, I want to make it clear right now, I am not going to go and double dip on every Earthspark figure. This was just something fun to do for the holidays, as a like consider it a little bit of a present to you. Um, but again, find figures, and I'll be honest, if I was going to pick one, if you've never experienced the Cyberverse Deluxe Starscream, pick this up. Get the Hasbro release or get this release or get both if you're so inclined. Great looking figure, and the transformation is that spot on. Um, but yeah, that's about it for the review. If you like this review, like, comment, and subscribe. While I will always appreciate the views, your likes, comments, and subscriptions help to communicate to YouTube through their algorithms that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. You want to make an ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month or $12 a year. No thrills, no tiers, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you, help me to help you bring literally bring figures like this to you, as well as keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. But as I always say, your views are more than thanks enough. I know with the holidays, um, expenses might be in a different direction. Take care of your family, friends, and loved ones. Don't worry about a poor guy like me. Um, your views are more than thanks enough. As I said again, the Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous Sunday. Once again, and I do want to say this once again, we're entering the holiday season. You guys have been with me for a while. I have started my Advent vlogs. I'm doing them as shorts now. Uh, so please keep an eye out for those. Watch them, enjoy them, interact with them, share with them. It's just a way to keep the magic of the season going in this like crazy online connected world. I had hoped for to be able to do something else, but I don't think that's going to happen. So really, those Advent vlogs. I mean, I do them less for myself and more for all of you to enjoy. So that's about it for the review. Once again, for the Takara, Earthspark, Optimus Prime, and Starscream, we will see you next time.